now. All right, Wayne.
I thought you was for the new family.
I wish someone would Tammy, unfind him. All right, Wayne, and now we'll get the deacons to do it. You're a deacon of passing out paper.
Yes, sir.
All right, this lesson is going to be fear to some and unfear to the others. Turn to James chapter 5. All right, Dale Buchanan had surgery today, did the biopsy, everything went well. The doctor said it went faster and better than what he thought, and he is now home. Don't forget that Rose Marie had requested prayers of the congregation, and as a family, we pray together. Ruth Hughes is home. Tomorrow, Mark will go in and have his heart removed and put back on the other side where it belongs. Mark is going in for an Inspire, which takes the place of the, go ahead. Takes the place of the CPAP. So he'll go in for surgery tomorrow morning, be at the hospital at about 9:45. Well, if you get there at 10:45, you're going to be late. All right, 8 o'clock. And Jeff McKinnon's dad has had his 5th treatment. He'll have a PET scan later to see how the treatments are working. Good? All right, good reports.
Well, they didn't do a scan. His blood work was good, so they're not doing more treatment right now, wait 3 months.
Very good. Very good. All right. Now, before we begin, we'll have a prayer for them at the end of our class. Does someone know how to go on Facebook and see if we're up and running live? I just have to hit some buttons and leave, so normally I ask Jorge, but I don't see Jorge. Yeah. Just go on YouTube and see if we're running, if it's live, if there's good sound. And if there's not, go back and fix it. All right, James chapter 5, living patiently. All right, let's muddy the water a little bit, and we'll let the scriptures sort it out. Wives, huh? Everything's good? Okay, good. Hope folks in Australia can see me. I think they all need to repent. And by the way, our youth and associate minister and his wife will be here May the 4th. If everything, he said, nail it down, so we're writing it in stone. And if he looks in the other congregation, let me know and I'll find some dirt on them. And I got friends in the wrong places. All right, let's just start the class like this. If you want to know the truth about me, who would you ask? I was about to say my mother, but this is what we're going to do. Wives, what is your husband's worst area of being patient? What am I the most impatient at And let's start with Donna. What am I the most impatient person about?
Yeah, you have a tendency to beat a dead horse a lot about people parking on the side of the road and traffic and people, that kind of thing.
All right, I have, they call it an HOA. It's not, it's one person. And someone called the police and said I had inoperable cars in my driveway. It was not inoperable, it was a 1988 Ford Bronco. And so I called the police department and I said, what's an inoperable? And they said, well, check your tags. They expired. I said, it's an antique tag. I told them I'm selling it. Said, no matter. My neighbor called. But you go three or four houses down, and there's 8 trucks, and they're all pulled apart, and they're working on them. I'm hoping that they buy my house when I leave. Am I impatient? Yeah. Every time I go down that street, I said, if I had a semi-truck, I'd clear this street out. Yeah, you have to call the police, and the police will write you a warning. And someone's done that to a couple of trailers, 3 trailers on my street. And I swear it was not me. But my thought is, when you got a car, and let me tell you, when it's foggy and you can't see above your hood and people are parking on the street and leaving trailers that take up half the street, I'll call down fire on them. All right, so Donna said, I'm impatient when it comes to beating a dead horse. Every time we turn that corner, guess what I say? If I had a semi-truck. All right, another wife. What is your husband the most impatient about? Tammy.
It'd be easier to say when he's not impatient.
Say it.
But mostly waiting on me to get ready to leave, probably.
All right, waiting on Tammy to get ready to leave. But women do that. It takes me 3 minutes. I don't wait on Donna because I know she's just getting put together right. That
I take 10 minutes. I need to back up.
I think she gets impatient.
Right. And we have had a couple that when we would go pick them up to do something, we always told them about 15 minutes earlier so that they would be ready. Now, I had a member who had trouble with his eyes, and his wife, what he would do, he'd play on the computer, and then when it was time to leave, then he got ready. And I told him, I said, I'm not your mama, and I ain't your wife. When I say I'll be there at 8 o'clock, take you to work, you better be at the door at 8 o'clock. Guess what I'll do? And I did. You only do it once. All right, another wife. Plumbing. He is the most impatient person. Working on cars. Mark and I have worked on Bob's house all day on plumbing. He did say some words that I didn't understand. But he probably worked all day because I was there. And that makes a difference when you've got help or someone to encourage you. All right, plumbing and working on cars. All right, wives, keep going. What is your husband the most impatient about? Red lights at Farmington. And the worst one in the state of Arkansas is on what street? Joyce. All right, keep going. And this is voluntarily, but I will point.
Yeah, you're recording this too, and you're gonna be going back and taking notes.
Yes. I'm going to edit this before we show it. All right, wives, if you'd like to suggest something about your husband, what would it be when it comes to impatience? He doesn't listen. No, not yet. Not yet. All right, a memory problem. All right, anyone else? Wives, anyone else? Lisa's got, you can just see it all over Lisa's face.
Oh, I'm the problem. Imagine that.
All right, Lisa says she's the problem.
I don't even care anymore. Like, suck it up.
You get to that point. All right, husbands. What is your wife the most impatient about?
Me being impatient.
And that can be the case. All right? Being impatient about being impatient. All right, anyone else? Don't mutter it, just say it out loud. Husbands? All right, we'll have marriage counseling next week. And we'll offer, I saw a sign, divorce is $1, so we'll offer those things too.
He's impatient about being a computer.
All right?
Those two things don't go together, being a computer.
All right, so impatient about you being on or the computer. Using it. How to use it.
He doesn't know how to.
I do that. All right, anyone else?
Clean up my trash while I'm cooking.
Do what?
Clean up my trash while I'm cooking.
Cleaning up your mess while you're cooking. Nothing.
Drive me home from the hospital tomorrow. She said, "Want me to bring you home? You're just perfect."
All right, Mike says that Brenda, because she's driving him home from the hospital tomorrow, she is perfect. How is he as a patient? He's not patient.
No, you can't say two things.
And Don will tell you right off the bat, the worst patients are those who just don't get sick a lot. All right, anyone else? Yeah, don't be sick. Don't get sick. Anyone else brave enough?
I think mostly it's, I can drive forever and not say anything. Just drive up the wall.
Okay. Silence while you're driving. And there's probably others that would say, I wish he'd be quiet while we're driving. All right, let's hit James 5 as we begin in verse 7 through 11. Patience. We bought our first microwave. It was a Lytton when the boys were born, $600, which was probably 3 weeks' pay, I don't know, 2 weeks' pay for me, just to heat their bottles up at nighttime. You know what it's like trying to heat up a baby's bottle without a microwave? I sat there, I put some milk, Donna wanted a hot chocolate, and so I put hot chocolate in the milk, put it in the microwave, and sat there for like 30-something seconds, and I did 2 of them. Man, I turned gray. It's amazing when you're waiting for something to be patient All right, let's begin reading in verses 7 through 11. Be patient, therefore, brothers, until the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits for the products or the precious fruit of the earth, being patient about it until it receives the early and the late rain. You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. I want you to remember this expression. For the coming of the Lord is at hand. It is used in Matthew. It is used in the book of Revelation. That everything that was written in the book of Revelation was at hand. And now we've got people that have actually got somehow America in the southeast or the southwest and everything else. All right, so the coming of the Lord is at hand. Do not grumble against one another, brothers, so that you may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing at the door. As an example of suffering and patience, brothers, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord, and behold, we consider those blessed who remain steadfast. You have heard of the steadfastness of Job, and you have seen the purpose of the Lord, how the Lord is compassionate and he is merciful. James, the brother of John, the book written over several years. And in this book, he's telling you to look where? Look back at some things and learn patience. The prophets. Where would you go to learn about the patience of the prophets? Where? The Old Testament. Let's just say you're reading the New Testament. Where would you go to kind of find them all bundled together? Hebrews. What chapter? 11. And about halfway through, he says, I don't have the time to tell you about. And he makes a list of how they died, but how that they were patient in preaching the Lord to the glory of the Father. A lesson for us to learn. And the idea of being steadfast. There are times, and I know as a man, I don't know about a woman, but I'll be working on something and I just get so frustrated I walk away from it. I did this on an alternator on a Honda. You'd take the wheel and half the car apart, but it came out fine. But getting that rascal back in the same hole? John did some work for me, and I had to leave and forget where I was going. Oh, it was Tail of the Dragon. And I apologized, John. I wish I could be here to help you. And John just said, well, I'm glad you're not. But I went back to that little Honda, and that alternator went right back through just as easy. And I had fussed with that thing for several hours. There are times that we just need to walk away from something, not quit, but to be steadfast. Be thou faithful unto death, Revelation 2 and 10, and I'll give you a crown of life. Crown of life belongs to those that finish the line. I've told you this before, the funerals. First thing that you hear about holding someone's funeral, he's been baptized. That's not what finishes. It's faithfulness. It's steadfastness. And again you find in the book of Matthew chapter 13 verse 55. Hebrews chapter 12, beginning in verse 1, seeing we're compassed about by such a great cloud of witness, let us run with patience the race that's set before. Lay aside the things. We watch social media and everything all of a sudden becomes important, but it becomes a weight. We never used to know what goes on in the world right away, and now we do, and it weighs us down, and before you know it, we become very unpleasant people. It's just not important. It's not our world. It's not our situation. And yet we weigh ourselves down with it. And so the writer of Hebrews, you lay the weights down. Lay the sins down. It makes it a lot easier to run.
The other example we have from the prophets is a lot of what they prophesied, they never got to see. They didn't get to see, Isaiah didn't see Christ.
Mhm.
So his patience had to be something that, it wasn't, he had to be patient enough to watch that alternator go back in. He had to be patient enough to know that even when he's not here, that alternator will at some point
Mhm.
go back in. And we forget that a lot because, we have this, we live in a society that's now.
Right.
We've got fast food and everything is at your fingertips. And you want to watch a show, you just watch it. You don't have to wait. You don't wait for commercials anymore. There's no waiting. And so a lot of times as far as we've lost all the things in our society that help us build patience.
Okay? In our society, and it's not an age thing, we are all very impatient. I'd like to think that we get more patient the older that we get. Bob said no. And I know with traffic the answer is no. But Bob, his tractor wouldn't start and he's wanting to sell it and had to buy a battery for it. And I thought, how is Bob going to get that battery down to the tractor? Of course, he got a side-by-side, but a battery's still heavy. And when you take that weight off, you get that, And I'm not too sure that we as children of God have allowed the world to weigh us down to the point where we're not able to walk freely in the Christian life. Now, in the book of Genesis chapter 21, you have a promise made to Abraham. Abraham, 75 years old. And God said, you're going to have a son. And through that son, I'm going to bless the world. How long did he have to wait? Don and I got married in 1976. February the 17th. January. They're close. It was a long wedding. And then we waited 3 years before we had Rachel. Mike, you're going to have a child. Number one, I'm 75 years of age. We're told that Abraham hoped against hope. What does that mean?
Almost given up.
Almost to the point of giving up. And now we've got these stupid, silly, I don't know what they're trying to prove, but you have actors at 70-something years of age marrying a 20-year-old and having children, bragging about who's the oldest one with a child. Abraham waited 25 years. And we can't wait for popcorn. And by the way, a red light usually lasts 90 seconds, Bob Beeler. But if you leave your house at 5 o'clock in the morning, coming out of Prairie Grove and need to turn left in front of Dollar General, there's no one there to watch. So it doesn't matter what color it is. And they say, well, you can always turn right. No, at 90 seconds is a long time. And so here was a man who waited 25 years for the blessing. How long does it take to raise children? Do what? A lifetime? Do what? Forever? You're always raising your children. Takes a long time. I know that when you're bottle feeding them, having to get up every couple of hours and feed them, you don't think that will ever get through. And when we in our courage say to a young couple, it won't last long, what are they thinking? Yeah. And they're saying, what does he know? Diapers, you remember washing diapers? Hanging them out? And then someone came up with a, I'll pick up your diapers and wash them business? No. Brendan, I don't know if you've looked at diapers, but diapers are a car payment. And by the way, Bidfa, if you're a Bidfa user, you can buy diapers at Bidfa. I got my eye on some. Not for me and Donna, but for a baby shower. All right, there's a story here about a man by the name of Philip Brooks, a famous Episcopalian preacher of the 1800s. He's the one who wrote O Little Town of Bethlehem. Brooks was, of course, a human, and he could get upset at times. As the story is told, a friend saw him fervently pacing one day and asked, "What is the trouble, Mr. Brooks?" And Brooks is said to have responded, "The trouble is that I am in a hurry, but God isn't." And remember the story, like John said, here were a people who looked forward, lived their lives looking for that promise, the promised land, the new land, the Messiah that Isaiah talks about. And they lived their lives based on that. In the New Testament, we find that they based their life, and a lot of the New Testament has a misunderstanding of that they thought the Lord was going to come back in their time and it would all be over. And you have letters written to that. You have false prophets that would talk about it. And so many times, the problem is that we're in a hurry and God isn't. Do we struggle? Do we have a struggle? Does everyone have a struggle with impatience? Wayne is too tired. He's just too quiet. I see him looking, and I see words, but all of us struggle with impatience. Why do we do that? We have been programmed. Stop and think about the little child. In one story that I was reading, it was talking about that children are the most patient. If our kids didn't get fed when they were hungry, what did they do? They cry. How long does a child wait for anything? I love to watch people. And I love to watch kids manipulate their parents and how they do it. I've told you before, you don't think that Walmart did a survey as to where the candy should be? Where is it? Can I have? Can I? Here it goes. Can I have? Can I have? Mama, I want. Mama, I want. Mama, I want. Mama, I want. No just doesn't mean no anymore. And so we live in a world that has programmed us to be a very self-centered and selfish. I want what I want, when I want it, and that's now. And that just doesn't belong to kids. All right, someone define patience.
Ability to wait calmly.
All right, wait calmly. Under what circumstances? What makes that more difficult?
Well, depends on what you're impatient about. The circumstance, like restaurant service, is one people get impatient about. Red lights, people get impatient about. Fixing the ceiling in the house, people get impatient. I don't know what they are, but they get impatient about. Stuff like that. Yeah, you can call fixed, whatever.
Yeah. I don't mind food service if it's Donna. Because we went to Chili's once, and by the time we all got through, they still hadn't served Donna her supper. And so they gave us all a dessert of our choice. So I don't mind if it's Donna. I went to a Mexican restaurant down in Florence, Alabama, with a friend of mine. We met down there for, at that time, International Bible College lectures. And there were roaches running along the chair rail. And I said, watch this, Scott. I just knew we were going to get our meal free. And I said something about it, and they said, oh, we've been overseas. No, oh, I'm sorry. I got impatient. All right, so we're programmed by the world to be an impatient people that we have to train. Let me give you, what would be a way of retraining yourself to be patient? Breathe. Now, if you're pulling up to a red light, Bob, and you've got 3 cars over here and you've got one here, which lane do you change over to? And if you've got 2 cars in here and 2 cars in here, who do you pull up behind? The ones in a Chrysler Hellcat. You're even looking to see which one is going to take off the fastest. And so, one way of doing a retraining would be what?
Make yourself go in the other,
Make you what?
make yourself sit in the line.
All right, sit in a long lane. Brethren, the church is not unified anymore. And let me give you a quick secret too. Church unity has very little to do with a belief system. It has to do with the Christ. We disagree somehow, we've got disunion. No, you don't. All right, let's say that you are in the Walmart shopping area and you've got a line of 2 people and you've got a line of 10 people. If you're going to retrain yourself, what would you do? Do what?
Get in there with 10, because 2 just never work out.
2 never works out.
He goes in one and I go in the other to see which one's first.
All right, they go in 2 different. Or let's just say that you're in a line with 10 people and it's slow. What blessing can you get out of that? Do what? Okay.
The only way to make change is to actually really know you need to. Right?
And don't we all?
You gotta look at yourself and say, my patience is terrible, I don't work on it. So that's the first thing.
All right, you realize it, but not only do you have to acknowledge it, you have to practice it. Friend, let me tell you, I don't know that the church can learn a whole lot more because we're really not practicing what we do know. We know it's there. I mean, some of you have been in Bible classes here, just at this congregation, all of your life. And so we know it's there. All right, what can you do? You're in a line. Let's just say I'm going to retrain myself. I'm going to get in the longest line, and I'm going to learn to be patient. And it is. It's behavior, and it's learned until it doesn't become much of a problem.
I think you don't really choose to get in the long line, you just take whatever line you get in and decide to wait. It's more than, I don't know that you can just, I mean, it's really hard to change patience anyway.
But there's another aspect of this. Sometimes there's things going on in your life to where you're in a hurry. You have to get there or something. And I'm sorry, I can't be patient. I got to get there. I have an appointment or whatever.
Okay?
Sometimes maybe having patience could even save your life. We seen one day that, Mark was aggravated because the light turned green and the car in front of us didn't go. And he kept yelling, go, go, go. And about that time, another car came through the stoplight the opposite way at high speed and was just bringing them to the
Mm-hmm.
We looked at each other like, oh, that,
Yeah.
So that car being patient, maybe he did the 10-second or whatever it is, but him being patient saved his life.
All right, being patient saved his life.
One thing you taught about, getting on the interstate, 2 lanes going and one, you let somebody in instead of,
Did I say that?
you did.
No, I was talking about down here where they're building this barbecue place.
But anyway, I tried to do better and stay in the inside lane and let people in. That takes a lot of patience. So I'm working on that.
Brenda said you're lying.
But you know what, when somebody sees you do that, then they're more
They're mad at
likely to
you.
let somebody else do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the main thing to realize is if you have a problem with patience and you've got somewhere to be at a certain time,
Leave early.
get up and get gone.
That works most of the time. I once heard a preacher who stopped his sermon. A lady came in with 3 children, and he just said, if you leave on time, you'll get her on time. And her children have been deathly sick. There are times you may leave early. I always do. If I'm ever flying, I get there hours before.
What's it like?
It's hard on your arms.
I've been leaving early. I don't know what they would feel like.
It's great. Number one, I can sit there and I can watch people. Number two, when I'm flying, and it may be from here to Alabama, it may be to New Zealand, I am not at rest until I'm on the plane. And I leave early because, what about wrecks? What about bad traffic? I always do. That's my habit. Same thing going up and visiting hospitals. I always leave early if I can.
Mike, I used to coach small softball, we had practice on Saturdays. She makes fun to this day about me, my business, us, we're there, we're waiting on ground crew to show up on the gates to get in. But I mean, I taught my players, if you're on time, you're late, if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time.
Yeah.
And I've had them to this day tell me that that's made an impact on their life and
Let me tell you one thing you can do. Besides the traffic, you have to retrain yourself. You have to say, I got a problem, and this is what I'm going to practice, and I'm going to keep on practicing it. But while you're in a line at the grocery store, why don't you invite someone to church? Or just be listening to what they're saying. Well, my mother's sick, and well, would you like for me to pray for your mother? There's so many blessings if we'll just look for them. Is it easy? No. Another thing that bothers me, and I don't know that I've really prayed about this one, you got an ambulance coming in from Prairie Grove. I pull over. Bubba behind you is kind of honking the horn. He don't understand why you're stopping. So he stops behind you. And after the ambulance has gone by, guess who gets out first? Bubba. I got to pray about that one, Keith. All right, thank you for your attention. Next week we'll take up again. Look at your questions, and we'll get to the questions. Thank you.
Well,